Hello and welcome back to my railway. And as you can see, I've still got the block of flats there because I haven't replaced that yet. I'm waiting for another building to arrive. I've got to build that. So it's just some Metcalfe factories, same as this. So I'm going to just see if I can make one that will fit in this spot there. I need to also make all the low relief properties on the back there. And I've been making these from First Price Models kits, but it's costing me an absolute fortune. So I'm starting to make all my own for the back scene at the moment. So cutting out, so I want these to just, obviously it's not even a quarter finished, so these all go all the way along the back so you can some low relief. And I'll have to sort of work out what I'm going to do on some of the other properties. So I'll just show you what I'm working on. And the plan is to get all these, and what I'm basing this on is scale scenes as well as Fair Price models. So I've sort of created some templates, started to cut out. I went a little bit wrong there, but that'll get covered. And I've still got some more to cut out. And it is absolute nightmare cutting all these out. As you could probably guess, I mean, I'm actually using quite a big knife to try and cut through these as quick as I can, rather than a scalpel if I'm really doing the windows, and it's absolutely crucial. Obviously scalpel is much better, which I do have, and I've got absolutely plenty of blades. So and these are wonderful because they're all basically cut for you. You know, you just got to cut the textures. So I've got all my textures printed off, ready to go on. I've got plenty of scale scenes doors and some windows and things like that I'm doing. So I've got to cut all the windows out, stick some acetate, and then I can put them through on the cards. So I've also got some backs and some bases to add in and things like that. And also, if I want to put lights in here, I'm going to need to make them a little bit more sturdy. I made these out of 1.5mm, and that was a little bit too thin, so I've used 2mm card for these, but it wasn't a very good quality card. Yeah, I'm not sure. I bought this one and it didn't seem to be, and it sort of, as you cut it, it doesn't matter how sharp your blade is, it seems to not give the cleanest edges. But as they're getting all wrapped, it's not as crucial, and these are part of the back seat. So let me carry on. I've got absolutely loads to make for this back scene, so I'm going to enjoy myself for the next few days trying to get this done. Oops. One thing I have got to do is be a bit more patient when I put this on and let it actually dry. I've been in the past and I've just tried to cut it out even before I've let it just dry enough. Thinking all over me. It's only a old cutting board, that one is. One that I use for just gluing items on. So I'm not too worried. So put them to one side, and I'm just going to go through the rest and start covering all that in textures. So what I do have, slight size problem on here with the amount of room that I've got, really. So this obviously is going to go along the front. This is one of the front ones. So to try and get a bit more space, I'm going to remove part of the back the kitchen room, which that would be the outside toilet or the coal shed or something like that. So I'm going to have to remove those. So when these come back to back, that will be the alleyway space. So this row here will only have that piece at the back. I think that would be the best way of doing it. Would have been good to have actually taken them off on all of them, but if I try and remove this now, it's just going to ruin them, and there's going to be too much work try and tidy those back up. So it would sort of be about more like that distance there, so which then gives me just enough space. So I'm working on space for a pavement. I've just done a bit of a line there and a bit of a line that I'm going to draw back there. These, I want to change the windows, so I've ordered some laser cut windows rather than the ones, because I want them to match all the windows there. So I'm not going to finish those back ones off until I've got the new windows, and that should look all right, and everything should match up. And this second row I will be building exactly the same as these, but I will be making them all out of card, not these laser cut kits. So I'm just going to line this out. We're going to have the road going up there and a road going across there, and then that road then will feed into under the viaduct and then feed into the warehouses that's going to be here where that block of flats was. So I'm going to get this board cut now. I'm not sure how easy that is to see on the camera there, but we're going to have the central road there, so the houses will go along there, and then the road at the back just curves, goes through the archway on there, and then goes into the factories that side. So now I've just got to cut this board, because I'm going to use the sort of the height as the pavement that I've done on the front there. So I've made this as a sort of a frame, so I'm going to need to just undo that, cut these pieces out, stick them back on underneath, and hopefully it all goes to plan. That's all the pieces cut out. I decided to just use the jigsaw. So what's going to happen is I had a slight issue there, so I'm going to need to try and straighten that up, but they're going to be adjustable, so I need to put the frame back on now. I just want to get a bit of filler in here now, and get some texture on the road and get it painted. Just going to get all the gaps filled in first. That'll dry a little bit, I think. And then get the rest covered. So I'm going to carry on with this. And I'll come back shortly. I think that's the well, that's all the plaster dry. Just a nice thin coat all the way along. So I just need to give that a bit of a sand. Could be a lump on there. And that should be alright. I'll put a bit of cardboard on the end there because it where it joins the other road, it wouldn't have looked right. So hopefully I'll get that matched in. So that's what I'm going to do, get this sanded down so I can get it painted. Well, I've got all that sanded. I decided to cover all the screws in it, and there was a piece that was not quite right there when I cut the board. So, but I've just created a grey wash with a bit of acrylic paint. And, maybe a bit dark there. Should dry a bit lighter actually, so I'm just going to give it a very sort of a few coats anyway of a few different colours, just to get a bit of a road texture look. Right, I've got that done. I'm just going to just sort of take a little bit of it off. So I can get a bit more covering over that. I'll do another wash over that. So it gets more of a patchy look. I may have got away with that being slightly lighter actually. I think I've got it too dark. I think a combination between the two might have worked. Just want to put a really thin layer. Where the paper's joined, I don't like that. I have to try and disguise that. And, I think that'll be okay. Might need to do a lighter top cover, I think. Right, I've given that all a coat of lightish grey on there as well, so just so it matches the same colour that I've got on the board there. Not really crucial that. I'm going to be putting the pavements back in, so I'm not bothered if I've got it over that paper. I'm going to redo those edges, so I'm going to leave that to dry. Right, that's all dried quite nicely. So I just want to get the pavements on before I do all the weathering, so this gets weathered in. So I'm going to have to redo all the ones at the front, but I've got these printed out, and this should be about the right curve that I've done for. So just going to get all these cut out and get the pavements on. Right, so I'm going to start getting these on. I've just trimmed this down a little bit, just because I'm just a tiny, yeah, I got that perfectly straight. Should really be using a better mat. This has got, but the reason I've just sort of trimmed them down because I can't wrap that underneath like I would do at the front, or say if that was the edge there, it would wrap around sort of thing, you know. So if that, but I have got all this stuck down, so I'm going to have to lose that
sort of bit around the edge there, but I'm going to sort of weather all that edge in anyway, and I've got a bit of plaster and all sorts on that edge, so it should all hide in nicely. I think I've gone a bit too far on that. I've not really done that one very well, so I'm going to throw that one away and make sure that I don't use it. I think I should have got the better cutting board, but I'm just going to go with this because about that much off. It's really roughly about half the amount of curb. There we go, that's much better. I can get those stuck on. Right, I'm going to go and get my glue and get those stuck on. And I'm going to really carry on with the rest of the layout. I've got bits with a curve on there. I just need to trim those up. Normally you'd be able to wrap those round, but so I'll trim all them out. Might have to print some more yet. Oh, that's all the pavement on now, so I've just got to let that glue dry before I do anything else. A couple of bits that could have been a little bit tidier, but this is at the back of the layout, so it's not too bad. And the reason why I haven't done anything on there, because the houses are going to cover all that, and all the buildings, so, and they will have their own underneath. You don't have the pavement always going up your driveway or your back garden, so I think don't touch it. I've been able to lip around at the front there, so that should look better because that's quite near the front of the layout, so you should see that. So let me just leave that to dry before I start weathering this road. Right, I'm just going to get some weathering powders on this. I've got some stone cement and I've got some Pico ones as well that I'm just going to, so I've got brake dust and rust and ash and dust, so don't want to go too much with the, just want to give a might seem like I'm putting on quite a bit, but I want sort of I'm going to brush quite a lot of it off afterwards, so one might be a bit too, so I'm only going to really put a really small bit of that one. Now I want to get a nice big brush, blend it all in. That's not too bad. And vacuum that piece up, that's built. And I just need to then seal that all in with some matte lacquer. And then I'm going to do a little bit of airbrushing just over the top. I've just come outside to do that. Good idea to get the pavement all nicely waterproofed. Right, I'll leave that to dry before I attempt any more weathering. Right, well I had the last bit of weathering, so I've decided to use some dust and just some matte black. So see if the airbrush is working. Yeah. I'll get that all over the pavement as well. Right. I'm sort of lighting that up quite a bit. Doing it at a good distance so I don't concentrate it. I think that look okay. Okay, let's try a bit of black. I think that was okay. I just need to do all the pavement off. I've sprayed a bit on the table, but that's fine. It's just me scrap table. Right, as you can see, I've got rid of those flats that I made last week, and I've built some sort of a kit bashed Metcalfe one there. I've put lights in there, but I've not wired it up yet. This was actually built out of all the leftovers from 3 kits, and I just thought I'm going to build something. It still needs a bit tidying up, but that's okay. These had already been built. Got some houses built there, so I'm going to put a sort of an alleyway there, a wall. I'm going to put another warehouse building here, so it sort of gives a seriously built up industrial sector there. A lot more houses need building. I've been rushing them, especially the ones at the back, and they're not absolutely fantastic. I've still got to detail them up by windowsills and things like that. But they're okay. They're right at the back. The back scene shouldn't really see that much. You've got chimneys to put on them, but it sort of gives the back scene the feel that I wanted with the terraces in over on that back scene. I put this large warehouse there, that was built out of one half of a Metcalfe kit. I've sort of used sort of 2 of the tiny little bit kits to build these warehouses, so that one's just a low relief. Not put any lights in it yet, done a bit of weathering on it, probably over weathered one of the warehouses. But that's what I sort of tend to do. The houses, I think, going to need a bit of weathering because they're just a bit too clean. But it's coming on, and I tell you what, building all these buildings, it's just so repetitive modelling. You know, you're not building anything different, and I'm cutting corners, and some of them aren't looking great now. So I really need to look at those houses again and build them a bit better. The ones at the back, I think they'll do initially, and then I'll redo them. Well, that's really about it. All I can do this week, or this episode. I know it's been 2 weeks, and it's just been building and building, warehouse, building houses, and there's just not even time to run any locos. I'm not got anything running at all this week, you know. So I was going to get some fish wagons out and get them on the Class 37, but I've hit a bit of a snag, and I'll show you that in the next episode, because I've damaged some of the track at the back, and it is my fault. It's just the way I was sort of building it. But so the only thing I've got running is my white van running around the road system at the moment. So I wish you a very good evening, a very good rest of the day, and thank you for watching. If you've sort of made it this far, then it's not been too boring. So anyway, have a good evening, and I'll see you on the next video.